Wrapping things up with Elijah Campbell today of 107.5 The Game. Elijah, anything else you want to touch on before we let you go today?
I'm really excited. I'm a big basketball guy.
Same.
Love that. Played all throughout high school. I did the AAU stuff. I mean, I still am a hoop head at heart. I'm really excited to see what happens to Collin Murray-Boyles in the NBA draft later this month for a multitude of reasons. Not just because he's a guy that we covered, and I've really enjoyed covering because I love talking to him because he is so smart about the game of basketball. He's one of those guys, he's about the right things. But from just a basketball prospect point of view, one of my favorite things to ever watch is the NBA draft because it is such a crapshoot. The value's usually at the back end of the draft, because the front end is either the guys that you think are going to be generational players or think that you can turn them into something that they're probably not, right? You see a lot of one-and-dones that weren't really good in college, but NBA teams are like, oh, he's 19, I can fix him. Right? He's only 19 years old, I can fix him.
Yeah.
I think Collin Murray-Boyles is genuinely, outside of like Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper, I think he's one of the most valuable players in this draft. I'd make him one of the 5 or 6 most valuable because of what he does on defense. And I know a lot of Gamecock fans were kind of jaded with how the basketball season went this year. I mean, you're 2-16 in SEC play. I've gotten on our text line, phone line about if Collin needs to come back, because if he was so good, you wouldn't be 2-16. Collin's good, but he needs to come back and develop his jump shot a little more. Defensively, he's the best player, second best player in this draft. Cooper Flagg's probably the best, but I mean, Collin Murray-Boyles is Draymond Green. I watch him and I'm like, that guy, if you get him in the right place, will help somebody win a title because of how versatile he is defensively, how great of a passer he is out of the short roll. His decision-making, if I could speak, is off the charts for somebody his age. He is an elite passer, great court vision, and he's undersized for a power forward because I think he was measured at the combine without shoes as a little under 6'7", and he doesn't have a three-point shot, which can be developed if you get him in the right place that can develop that sort of thing. You can space the floor with some good coaching. But that's a guy that's got so much of the stuff that you can't teach that NBA teams try to drill in guys that will never have it. There's so many guys that are taking the lottery every year that teams think can be playmakers. They think they can get them to turn into great decision makers. They think they can get them committed to the defensive end of the floor, but that never pans out. And great, you score 20 points per game in college. You can't guard the chairs we're sitting in, and you would rather sacrifice a family member than pass the ball up if you get double teamed. That happens with a lot of these guys. An NBA team doesn't have to do that with Collin Murray-Boyles. Collin may never be a superstar, but he can be one of those guys that you see in the finals right now. He can be somebody that plays the role of a Lou Dort and Alex Caruso. Those guys aren't going to score 25, 30 points and be the headline. But the Oklahoma City Thunder aren't winning 68 games in a season and being on the verge of winning an NBA title if it's not for guys like Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Hartenstein. Those guys win you championships. The stars are one thing. You have to have guys that can light it up. But if you don't have the other guys to supplement around it, then you're limited to maybe a first or second round appearance in the playoffs, right? You're winning 40 games. But I think Collin's one of those guys that he may never average 15 points a game in the NBA, but that's not going to matter. That's a guy that's going to win you games at the NBA level if you don't ask him to have to score 30. You let him just do what he does.
And not for nothing, last week on our podcast, Alex English said that those guys you just said in the NBA are his favorite players to watch.
Yes.
So the NBA heads and the guys that are elite and kind of running the show, those are the ones that they notice. It's not just the stars. They're looking at all the little things that all the role players are doing. So they are valuable to the league. And again, winning teams have to have every piece, not just the superstar. They have to have every piece of the puzzle. So Collin Murray-Boyles has a lot of chances to do that. And we talk about the record before we wrap up from last year. Again, you got to do your research because I know South Carolina had a rough year last year and the record was not good, but they lost so many close games, especially here in Columbia.
Man.
You talk about things going your way. If a couple of things go differently, it's a completely different season. Completely different season.
If you turn the ball over just one time less against Florida, the national champion, you beat them.
Yeah.
Now, Florida was only held to under 71 points. The national champion Florida Gators were only held to under 71 points on 2 instances last year. Once in Knoxville against Tennessee, where they only scored 44. It was one of those games they couldn't hit anything. Tennessee is elite defensively. They smothered them, essentially, at Thompson-Boling Arena. The other game, here in Columbia, South Carolina, they only scored 70. But South Carolina only scored 69. And when you turn the ball over that many times against a press defense, you allow them to erase that 14-point deficit that you had them in. You had the national champions down 14 in your home arena. Offensively, you just were plagued with the same thing you were plagued with all year long, and that wasn't taking care of the basketball, having enough guys to take care of the basketball. And it's one of those things now that at the time that was a crushing loss, and that was really kind of a harbinger of things to come. But when you look at things through a larger perspective, now that the entire season's over, you're like, look, you had the national champion in your building, held them to their second lowest point total of the year, and if you just turn the ball over one time less, one of those pick sixes that go the other way, you just get one less of those. You win that basketball game.
Yeah.
And you're just feeling a lot different about the season. Even if you still don't make the tournament, you still feel different about it because you would have had something to really hang your hat on going into the next season. Same thing with the Auburn game. Auburn, a team that went to the Final Four, a team that was really the best team in college basketball for 85% of it. You had them beat here too. Yeah. And Janai Broome goes down, and they had a couple other guys step up, make some big shots, and they did what they do because they were a great team. But you had two teams that faced off in the Final Four against each other beat at home.